welcome to the Financial Report. I'm HEYLING Chan. Local stocks closed 1.4% down today after weaker than expected first quarter mainland GDP figures accelerated a sell-off. The Hang Seng Index ended 316 points lower at 21,772. Turnover was $55 billion. The benchmark was also hurt by profit warnings about several mainland companies. Now let's have a look at today's most active stocks. CCB lost 9 cents. iShares A50 was 4 cents down. CNOOC traded 44 cents lower. ICBC 8 cents down, and the Bank of China lost 6 cents. Sinopec traded down by 26 cents. China Mobile $1 lower. Tracker Fund lost 40 cents. HSBC was $1 lower, and China Life was 30 cents down. Now for a look at Hong Kong dollar exchange rates. 7.76 to the US dollar, 11.89 to the British pound, 7.93 to 100 Japanese yen, 10.14 to the euro, and 100 Hong Kong dollars is 79 renminbi. In early European trade, the London FTSE is down by nearly 77 points at 6,307. London gold's buying price is $1,409.66 US dollars an ounce, asking at $1,410.43 an ounce. Over in Frankfurt, the DAX is down by 84 points at 7,660. And in Paris, the CAC is trading 39.5 points lower at 3,689. That's today's financial report. Join me for the main news after the break.
Coming up, main news and weather report.
With sunshine and water, there'll be Chinese people. Our crew travelled all over the world to find these brave souls who have gone through the toughest time to settle in foreign lands. They did the impossible, and we make sure their stories will be heard. Stories from Afar, tonight at 8:30. For a teenage boy, nothing confuses him more than a pair of sexy legs. Especially those that belong to a total stranger living in his house. Fortunately, he has got his own way to deal with life and all his girl problems. ATV World Spectacular, Lost Indulgence. Tonight at 9.
International affairs that concern all of us. Comprehensive research and thorough reports on the most pressing issues. Let's focus on the events that truly matter. Check in current news in focus. Tuesday night at 8.
Every day we learn. From him, from her, from someone we barely know. But what does it mean to you and me? Find out the answers on Global 3000, Thursday night at 8.
What happens out there is real. Get the latest European news and current affairs. Whatever happens, when it happens, you're always the first to know. Check in current news. European Journal, tonight at 8.
山美，水美，人更美。走遍大地神州，最美多彩贵州。
Good evening. You're watching the main news on ATV. I'm HEYLING Chan.
And I'm Anne-Marie Sim. Here are tonight's top stories.
China's economy slowed down in first quarter, raising fears that recovery may have stuttered.
Striking dockers at Huaisheng Container Terminal threaten to step up action to win pay demand.
Nicolas Maduro narrowly wins Venezuela's presidential poll, but rival Enrique Capriles demands recount. China's economy slowed unexpectedly in the first quarter, in a sign that its recovery could be running out of steam.
The disappointing numbers sent Asian stock markets lower as investors worried that slowing growth in China would hamper the global economic revival.
Data released in Beijing today showed that a recovery in the world's second-largest economy is losing steam. Analysts were caught by surprise as they expected a better start to 2013 because consumer spending had been stronger in the past few months and China's central bank had been pumping record amounts of credit into the financial system. Instead, gross domestic product grew by 7.7% in the first 3 months of the year, down from 7.9% in the fourth quarter of last year. National Bureau of Statistics spokesman Sheng Lai-yun played down the shortfall. Sheng said the economy had a steady start in the first quarter and had advanced in a stable way. Generally, it's operating within the range of 7.4 to 7.9%. That is steady growth, he stressed. Last month, the central government set a 7.5% growth target for this year. And Premier Li Keqiang said the nation must maintain that pace until 2020, as the country seeks to double per capita income this decade. Sheng said he's optimistic China will achieve its goal this year, as the nation's economic fundamentals remain sound. Analysts said industrial production numbers out today also failed to hit the mark, and that was the source of weakness in the GDP. Output from the mainland's millions of factories and workshops fell to 8.9% in March, from 9.9% the previous month. Despite the surge in lending, today's data showed an unexpected drop in investment growth that is driving the latest recovery. Government spending on factories, real estate and other fixed assets fell to 20.9% from the 21.2% rate for the first 2 months of the year. Analysts say that shows the economy suffers from structural problems, including excess production capacity in some industries that makes more investment unprofitable. Retail sales in March rose 12.6% compared with a 12.4% increase in the first 2 months of the year. Shares in Hong Kong and Shanghai tumbled today after the data was released. The Hang Seng Index fell 1.4% or 316 points to finish at 21,772 on turnover of $55 billion. While the benchmark Shanghai Composite Index slid 1.1% to end at 2,181. Separately, the World Bank cut its forecast for China's growth this year to 8.3% from 8.4%, citing Beijing's ongoing efforts to restructure the economy.
Locally, another round of talks will be held tomorrow in a bid to end the dockers' strike at the Huaisheng Container Terminal.
But the strikers have threatened to step up their action if their pay demands are brushed aside. ATV's Bo Le reports.
19 days after first downing tools, about 300 dockers at the Huaisheng Container Terminal have threatened to escalate their action if the contractors who hired them refuse to give them a pay rise of more than 7% and improve working conditions. On the eve of a third round of negotiations, the strikers held a meeting at a church in Huaifeng to discuss their strategy. No breakthrough was made in talks last week, with unions accusing the contractors of being insincere.
I hope the next stage will give more pressure to government and Labour Department and employers, because in last two negotiations we cannot see that employers were willing to solve the issue, solve the industrial issue.
Po's union today gave the strikers $1,500 each from money donated by the public. It was the 5th time since the strike began that the workers were given some help to cope with living expenses. After a radio show this morning, the head of the Confederation of Trade Unions and Labour Party lawmaker Li Keqiang urged port operator Hong Kong International Terminals, HIT, to play a more active role and not merely act as an observer during the talks.
We need the HIT to intervene into this labor dispute, because they are the one that gain all the profit. They are the one that actually indirectly hire all these workers, and so I think they have the responsibility.
The unionist legislator also accused HIT of misleading the public by saying that operations at the terminal is now 86% normal.
Actually, what we learn from the workers is far from that, and they try to resolve the matter by subcontracting to other terminals.
Labour Secretary Matthew Jung is hopeful of an early resolution of the pay dispute.
I'm pretty optimistic that provided that all sides take part in the negotiation in a pragmatic manner, in a rational manner, through rational dialogue, all differences can be resolved, and I know at the end of the day.
The Labour Department has also set up a meeting between two other unions not involved with the strike and contractors tomorrow morning. Berlung, ATV News.
The Consumer Council has called for the mandatory labelling of foodstuffs that contain genetically modified ingredients.
The watchdog also found that products sold in the city's 3 major supermarket chains went up by nearly 7% last year. ATV's Emily Sue reports.
Inflation in Hong Kong last year was 4.1%, but the Consumer Council found that most products sold in the city's supermarkets rose by 6.8%. The watchdog checked the prices of 200 items on offer in Park & Shop, Welcome and China Resources Vanguard, and found that the prices of 75% of their products were higher than in 2011. Canned fish, eggs and baby milk formula registered the biggest increases of as much as 17 to 18%, with one milk powder brand surging by as much as 40%. Only alcoholic drinks were cheaper, with the price of wine falling by 10%.
Smart consumers are strongly advised to make every effort to shop around at different retail outlets for price and brand comparison.
He added that retailers should help people cope with the difficult economic period.
The problem is that in Hong Kong we don't have any existing ordinance that is in relation to price control. As a result, what we can do right now is to encourage these retailers to impose something we call self-control.
Park & Shop and Welcome said price hikes were inevitable because of rising costs. The watchdog also criticized food firms for not properly labeling products that contain genetically modified ingredients. In a joint study with the Center for Food Safety, the council found that 12 out of 49 corn and corn-based snacks products had some GM content. 5 types of snacks imported from the U.S. had GM content exceeding 5%, and in one sample, it was above 64%. He said this violated the center's voluntary guidelines, which calls for specific labels on products which have more than 5% of GM ingredients. So the council is pressing for mandatory GM labeling.
Consumers should be well informed of what they are actually buying from the retailers. I'm not saying that genetically modified products, they are unsafe. In fact, all these products, they have passed some sort of safety test overseas.
The council also said it received 189 complaints in the first quarter from people who said they were misled by jewelry and luxury watch retailers into buying their products. That's around 40 more cases compared with the same period last year. And the watchdog found that over half of the 3,000 residents